Hello, everyone. It's Carlos,
Bella.
and we're going to continue with our Wonder reading. This is reading number 8. Before we get started, we're going to show our 3 comic strips we added from last time.
So I have Augie staying home from the parade, him saying he doesn't want to go to the parade. Then I have Augie telling Summer that she doesn't have to pretend to be his friend, and she's saying she's not. And then this is my mother of Summer's, and I'm having Summer saying don't make that weird face because Augie came over for the first time.
I have Augie staying home on Halloween, laying in bed. Then I have Summer sitting in the bathroom at the party when she was upset. Then I have Augie going to Summer's house and meeting her mom. All right, so let's get started. The Egyptian tomb. Over the next month, August and I hung out for a lot after school, either at his house or my house. August's parents were even invited Mom and me over for dinner a couple of times. I overheard them talking about fixing Mom up on a blind date with August's Uncle Ben. One day, on the day of the Egyptian Museum exhibit, we were all really excited and kind of giddy. It had snowed that day before, not as much as it had snowed over the Thanksgiving break, but still, snow is snow. The gym was turned into a giant museum with everyone's Egyptian artifacts displayed on the table with a little caption card explaining what things what the thing was. Most of the artifacts were really great, but I have to say, I really think mine and August's were the best. My sculpture of Anubis looked pretty real, and I had even used real gold paint on it. And August had made his step pyramid out of sugar cubes. It was 2 feet high and 2 feet long, and had spray painted. And he had spray painted the cubes with a kind of fake sand paint or something. It looked so awesome. We were all dressed up in Egyptian costumes. Some of the kids were Indiana Jones type archaeologists. Some of them dressed up as pharaohs. August and I dressed up like mummies. Our faces were covered except with 2 little holes for the eyes and 1 little hole for the mouth. When the parents showed up, they all lined up in the hallway in front of the gym. Then we were told we could go get our parents, and each kid got to take his and her parent on a, a flashlight tour through the dark gym.
August and I took our moms around together. We stopped at each exhibit explaining what it was, talking in whispers, answering questions. Since it was dark, we used our flashlights to illuminate the artifacts while we were talking. Sometimes, for dramatic effect, we would hold the flashlights under our chin while we were explaining something in detail. It was so much fun, hearing all these whispers in dark, seeing all of the lights zigzagging around the dark room. At this point, I went over to get a drink at the water fountain. I had to take the mummy wrap off my face. "Hey, Summer," said Jack, who came over to talk to me. He was dressed like the man from The Mummy. "Cool costume." "Thanks." "Is it the other mummy, August?" "Yeah." Hey, do you know why August is mad at me?" "Uh-huh," I nodded. "Can you tell me?" "No." He nodded. He seemed bummed. "I told him I wouldn't tell you," I explained. "It's so weird," he said. "I have no idea why he's mad at me all of a sudden." "None. Can't you give me at least a hint?" I looked over at where August was across the room, talking to our moms. I wasn't about to break my solid oath that I wouldn't tell anyone about what he overheard at Halloween. But I felt bad for Jack. "Bleeding scream," I whispered in his ear, and then walked away. Part 4. Jack. Now here's my secret. It is very simple. It is only with one's heart that can see clearly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Antonio de Saint-Exupéry, The Little Prince.
There's an airplane going over the top.
Don't. Wait.
The call. So in August, my parents got this call from Mr. Tushman, the middle school director, and my mom said maybe he calls all the new students to welcome them, and my dad said that's a lot of kids he'd be calling. So my mom called him back, and I could hear her talking to Mr. Tushman on the phone. This is exactly what she said. "Oh, hi, Mr. Tushman. This is Amanda Will, returning your call." Pause. "Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you to say. He's looking forward to it." Pause. "Yes." Pause. Yeah. Pause. Oh, sure. Long pause. Oh, uh-huh. Pause. Well, that's so nice of you to say. Pause. Sure. Oh, wow. Oh, super long pause. I see, of course. I'm sure he will. Let me write it down. Got it. I'll call you after I've had a chance to talk to him, okay? Pause. No, thank you for thinking of him. Bye bye. So when she hung up, I was like, what's up? What did he say? And mom said, well, it's actually very flattering, but kind of sad too. See, there's a boy who's starting middle school this year, and he's never been to a real school environment before because he was homeschooled. So Mr. Tushman talked to some of the lower school teachers to find out who they thought were some of the really, really great kids coming into fifth grade. The teacher must have told them you were an especially nice kid, which I already knew, of course. And so Mr. Tushman is wondering if if he could count on you to sort of be a shepherd this new boy around a bit, like let him hang out with you. I said. Exactly, said Mom. He called it being a welcome buddy. But why me?
I told you. Your teachers told Mr. Tushman that you were the kind of kid who's known for being a good egg. I mean, I'm so proud of what they think so highly of you. Why? Why is it sad? What do you mean? You said it's flattering, but kind of sad too. Oh, Mom nodded. Well, apparently this boy has sort of I guess there's something wrong with his face or something like that. Not sure. Maybe he was in an accident, Mr. Tushman said. He explained a little more when you come to school next week. School doesn't start till September. He wants you to meet the kid before school starts. Do I have to? Mom looked a bit surprised. Well, no, of course not, she said. But it would be a nice thing to do. But it would be a nice thing to do, Jack. If I don't have if I don't have to do it, I said, I don't want to do it. Can you at least think about it? I'm thinking and about it, and I don't want to do it. Well, I'm not going to force you, she said, but at least think about it some more, okay? I'm not calling Mr. Tushman back until tomorrow, so just sit with it a bit. I mean, Jack, I really don't think it's that much to ask that you spend a little extra time with some new kid. It's not just that he's a new kid, Mom, I answered. He's deformed. That's a terrible thing to say, Jack. He is, Mom. You don't even know who he is. Yeah, I do, I said, because I knew it the second she started talking about him that it was it was the kid named August. By the way, this is Jack's point of view, but before school.
Carvel. I remember seeing him for the first time in front of the Carvel on Ansford Avenue when I was about 5 or 6. Me and Veronica, my babysitter, were sitting on the bench outside the store with Jamie, my baby brother, who was sitting in his stroller facing us. I guess I was busy eating an ice cream cone because I didn't even notice the people who sat down next to us. Then, at one point, I turned my head to suck the ice cream out of the bottom of the cone, and that's when I saw him, August. He was sitting next to me. I know it wasn't cool, but I kind of went, "Oh." And when I saw him because I honestly got scared. I thought he was wearing a zombie mask or something. It was the kind of "oh" you say when you're watching a scary movie and the bad guy just jumps out of the bushes. Anyway, I know it wasn't nice of me to do that, and although the kid didn't hear me, I know what his sister did. Jack, we have to go, said Veronica. She had gotten up and was turning the stroller around because Jamie, who had obviously just noticed the kid too, was about to say something embarrassing. So I jumped up kind of suddenly, like a bee had landed on me, and followed Veronica. As she zoomed away, I could hear the kid's mom saying softly behind us, "Okay, guys, I think it's time to go." And I turned around to look at them one more time. The kid was licking his ice cream cone. The mom was picking up the scooter, and the sister was glaring at me like she was going to kill me. I looked away quickly. Veronica was What was going on with that kid? I whispered.
boy, she said, her voice angry. I love Veronica, but when she got mad, she got mad. Meanwhile, Jamie was practically spilling out of his shoulder, trying to get another look at as Veronica pushed him away. But Veronica, said Jamie. You boys were very naughty, said Veronica as soon as we we were farther down the block. Staring like that? I didn't mean to, I said. Veronica, said Jamie. Us leaving like that, Veronica was muttered. Oh Lord, that poor lady. I tell you, boys, every day we should thank the Lord for our blessings. You hear me? Veronica, what is it, Jamie? Is it Halloween? No, Jamie. Then why was that boy wearing a mask? Veronica didn't answer. Sometimes when she was mad about something, she would do that. He wasn't wearing a mask, I explained to Jamie. Hush, Jack, said Veronica. Why are you so mad, Veronica? I couldn't help asking. I thought this would make her angrier, but she actually shook her head. It was a bad how we did that, she said. Just getting up like that, like we just had seen the devil. I was scared for what Jamie was going to say, you know. I didn't want him to say anything that would hurt the little boy's feelings. But it is very bad. Us leaving like that, that the mama knew what was going on. But we didn't mean it, I answered. Jack, sometimes you don't have to mean to hurt someone. You understand?
That was the first time I ever saw August in the neighborhood, at least what I remember. But I've had seen him around ever since then. A couple times in the playground, a few times in the park. He used to wear an astronaut helmet sometimes, but I always knew it was him underneath the helmet. All the kids in the neighborhood knew it was him. Everyone has seen August at some point or another. We all know his name, though he doesn't know ours. And whenever I've seen him, I try to remember what Veronica said, but it's hard. It's hard to sneak a second look. It's hard to act normal when you see him. Why I changed my mind. Who else did Mr. Tishman call? I asked Mom later that night. Did he tell you? He mentioned Julian and Charlotte. Julian, I said. Oh, why Julian? You said to, used to be your friends with you used to be friends with Julian. Mom, that was like in kindergarten. Julian's the biggest phony there is. And he's trying so hard to be popular all the time. Well, Mom said, at least Julian's agreed to help the new kid out. Got to give him credit for that. I didn't say anything because she was right. What about Charlotte? I said. Is she doing it? Is she doing it too? Yes, Mom said. Of course she is. Charlotte's such a goody two shoes. I answered. Boy, Jack, Mom said. You seem to have a problem with everybody these days. I started. Mom, you have no idea what it's like what kids look like. I can imagine. No, you can't. You've never seen him. I have. You might not even, you might not even be you're thinking it is. Trust me, it is. And I'm telling you, it's really, really bad. He's deformed, Mom. His eyes are look like down here. I pointed to my cheeks, and he has no ears, and his mouth is like Jamie had walked through the kitchen to get a juice box from the fridge.
Ask Jamie, I said. Right, Jamie? Remember that kid we saw in the park after school last year? The kid, the kid named August, the one with the face, the face. Oh, that kid, said Jamie, his eyes opening wide. He gave he gave me a nightmare. Remember, Mommy, that nightmare about the zombies from last year? I thought that was from watching a scary movie, answered Mom. No, said Jamie. It was from seeing that kid. When I saw him, I was like, ah! And I ran away. Wait a minute, said Mom, getting serious. Did you do that in front of him? I couldn't help it, said Jamie, kind of whining. Of course you couldn't help it, Mom scolded. Guys, I have to tell you, I'm really disappointed by what I'm hearing here. And she looked like somehow she sounded. I mean, honestly, he's just a little boy, just like you. Can you imagine how he felt to see you running away from him? Jamie screaming. It wasn't a scream, argued Jamie. It was like an ah! He put his hands on his cheeks and started running around the kitchen. Come on, Jamie, said Mom angrily. I honestly thought both my boys were more sim- 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 sympathetic than that. What's sympathetic? Said Jamie, who was only going into the second grade. You know exactly what I mean by sympathetic, Jamie, said Mom. It's just he's so ugly, Mommy, said Jamie. Hey, Mom yelled. I don't like that word, Jamie. Just get your juice box. I want to talk to Jack alone for a second. Look, Jack, said Mom as soon as he left, and I knew she was about to give me a whole speech.
Okay, I'll do what I said, which completely shocked her. You will? Yes. So I can call Mr. Tushman? Yes, Mom. Yes. I said yes. Mom smiled. I knew you'd rise to the occasion, kiddo. Good for you. I'm proud of you, Jackie. She messed up my hair. So here's why I changed my mind. It wasn't so I wouldn't have to hear Mom give me the whole lecture. And it wasn't to protect this August kid from Julian, who I knew would be a jerk about the whole thing. It was because when I heard Jamie talking about who he had run away from Julian, August going, ugh, I suddenly felt really bad. The thing is, there are always going to be kids like Julian who are jerks. But if a little kid like Jamie, who's usually a nice enough kid, can be that mean, then the kids like August doesn't stand a chance in middle school. The four things. First of all, do you get to, do you get used to to his face? A couple of times, I was like, whoa, I was never going to get used to this. And then after a few weeks, I was like, oh, it's not so bad. Second of all, he's actually a really cool dude. I mean, he's pretty funny. Like the teacher will say something and August will whisper something funny to me that no one else hears and totally make me crack up. He's he's also just overall a nice kid. Like he's easy to hang out with and to talk to and stuff. Third of all, he's really smart. I thought he'd be behind everyone because he hadn't gone to school before, but in most things, he's always ahead of me. I mean, maybe not as smart as Charlotte or Xmina, but he's up there. And unlike Charlotte or Xmina, he lets me cheat off him, and I really need to. Although I've only needed to do it a couple of times. He always let me copy his homework once. He only let me copy his homework once, though we both got in trouble for it after class. The two of you got exactly the same answer wrong on yesterday's homework, said Mr. Rubin, said looking at both of us like she was waiting for an explanation. I didn't know what to say because the explanation would have been, oh yeah, that's because I copied August's homework. But lied to protect me. He was like, oh, that's because we did our homework together last night, which wasn't true at all. Well, doing homework together is a good thing, said Ms. Rubin, but you're supposed to still do it separately, okay? You would work you could work side by side if you want, but you can't actually do your homework together, okay? Got it?
After we left the classroom, I said, dude, thanks for doing that. And he was like, no problem. That was cool. Fourthly, now that I know him, I would say I actually do want to be friends with August. At first, I admit it. I was only friendly to him because Mr. Tushman asked me to be especially nice and all that. But now I would choose to hang out with him. He laughs at all my jokes, and I kind of feel like I can tell August anything. Like he's a good friend. Like if all the guys in fifth grade were lined up against a wall and I got to choose anyone I want to hang out with, I would choose August. Can I have the next page? Ex friends. Bleeding scream. What the heck? Summer Dawson has always been a bit out there, but this was too much. All I was at all I did ask her why August was acting like he was mad at me or something. I figured she would know. All all she said was bleeding scream. I don't even know what that means. It's so weird because one day me and August were friends and the next day, whoosh, he was hardly talking to me, and I hadn't haven't the slightest idea why. When I said to him, "Hey August, you mad at me or something?" he shrugged and walked away. So I would take that as a definite yes. And since I know for a fact that I didn't do anything to him to be mad about, I figured Summer could tell me what's up. But all I got from her was fleeting scream. Yeah, big help. Thanks, Summer. I've got plenty of other friends in school, so if August wants officially to be my ex-friend, then fine. That is okay by me. See if I care. I started ignoring him like he's ignoring me in school now. This is actually kind of hard since we sit to each other in practically every class. Other kids haven't noticed and have started asking me, and August have had if me and August have had a fight. Nobody asks August what's going on. Hardly anyone ever talks to him. Anyway, I mean that only the only person that hangs out other than me is Summer. Sometimes he hangs out with Reed Kingsley a little bit, and two Maxes got him playing at Dungeons and Dragons a couple of times at recess. Charlotte, for all of her goody two shoeing, doesn't ever do more than nod hello when she's passing him in the hallway. And I don't know if everyone's still playing that pl- plague behind his back, because no one ever really told me about it directly. But my point is that it's not like he has a whole lot of other friends he could be hanging out with instead of me.
If he wants to diss me, he's the one who loses, not me. So this is how things are between us now. We only talk to each other about school stuff if we absolutely have to. Like I'll say, "What did Ruben say the homework was?" And he'll answer, "Oh." He'll be like, "Can I use your pencil sharpener?" Or I'll get my pencil sharpener out of my pencil case for him. But as soon as the bell rings, we go our separate ways. Why this is good? Why this is good is because I get to hang out with a lot more new kids now. Before, when I was hanging out with August, all the time, kids were hanging out with me because they'd have to hang out with him. Wouldn't hang out with me because they could hang out with him, or they would keep things from me, like the whole thing about the plague. I think I was the only one who wasn't in on it, except for Summer and maybe the D&D crowd. And the truth is, though nobody's that obvious about it, nobody wants to hang out with him. Everyone's way too hung up on being in the popular group, and he's just as far from the popular group as you can get. But now I can hang out with anyone I want. If I wanted to be in the popular group, I could totally be in the popular group. Why is this a bad? Is this bad? Why this is bad is because, well, A, I don't actually enjoy hanging out with the popular group that much, and B, I actually liked hanging out with August. So this is kind of messed up, and that's all. And this is all August's fault.
No. The first snow of the winter hit right before Thanksgiving break. School was closed. We got an extra day of vacation. I was glad about that because I was so bummed about this whole August thing, and I just wanted some time to chill without having to see him every day. Also, waking up to a snow day is just about my favorite thing in the world. I love that feeling when you first open your eyes in the morning and don't even know why everything seems different than usual, but but it hits you. Everything is quiet. No cars honking, no buses going down the street. Then you run over to your window, and outside everything is covered in white. The sidewalks, the trees, the cars on the street, your windows, and when that happens on a school day, and you find out that your school's closed, well, I don't care how old I get, I'm always going to think that that's the best feeling in the world. And I'm never going to be one of those grown-ups that use an umbrella when it's snowing. Ever. Dad's school was closed too, so he took me and Jamie sledding down Skeleton Hill in the park. They say a little kid broke his neck while sledding down that hill a few years ago, but I don't know if this is actually true or just one of those legends. On the way home, I spotted this banged up wood sled kind of propped against the old Indian rock monument. Dad had said to leave it. It was just garbage, but something told me it would make the greatest sled ever. So Dad let me drag it home, and I spent the rest of the day fixing it up. I superglued the broken slats together and wrapped some heavy-duty white duct tape around them for extra strength. Duct tape.
Then I spray painted the whole thing white with the paint I had got from the alabaster sphinx I was making for the Egyptian Museum project. When it was all dry, I painted lightning in gold letters on the middle piece of wood, and I made a little lightning bolt symbol over the letters. It looked pretty professional, I had to say. Dad was like, "Wow, Jackie, they were right about the sled." The next day we went back to Skeleton Hill with Lightning. It was the fastest thing I've ever ridden. So much faster than the plastic sleds we've been using. And because it had gotten warmer outside, the snow had become crunchier and wetter. Good packing snow. Me and Jamie took turns on Lightning all afternoon. We were in the park until our fingers were frozen and our lips were turned a little blue. Dad practically had to drag us home. By the end of the weekend, the snow had started turning gray and yellow, and then the rainstorm turned most of the snow into slush. When we got back to the school on Monday, there was no snow left. It was rainy and yucky the first day back from vacation. A slushy day. That's how I was feeling inside too. I nodded hey to August for the first time I saw him. We were in front of our lockers. He nodded hey back. I wanted to tell him about lightning, but I didn't.
Fortune favors the bold. Mr. Brown's December precept was Fortune favors the bold. We were all supposed to write a paragraph about sometimes in our lives when we did something very brave and how, because of it, something good happened to us. I thought about this a lot. To be truthful, I have to say that I think the bravest thing I ever did was become friends with August. But I couldn't write that, of course. I was afraid we'd have to read these out loud. Of or Mr. Brown would put them up on the bulletin board like how he does sometimes. So instead, I wrote I wrote this lame thing about how I used to be afraid of the ocean when I was little. It was dumb, but I couldn't think of anything else. I wondered what August wrote about. He probably had a lot of things to choose from.
Okay, we're going to stop there with our reading number 8 of Wonder. Again, we're reading this story for some specific reasons because, we're middle school students and we want to make sure we're treating everyone like friends and we're polite, we're helpful. Thanks for listening along. We'll meet again next week and make sure you get your 3 comic strips on your strips that we are building. And we'll talk to you next week.
Remember, the main thing is when you choose to be right or kind, always choose kind.
Bye.